When you're staring at a wall of fish finder screens and wondering whether the next upgrade will actually make a difference on the water, it's easy to feel stuck between a pricey gamble and a piece of gear that ends up gathering dust. I'm not here to hype a new gadget. I'm here to walk through the real considerations that matter once you pull the transducer out of the box, mount it on your boat, and start fishing. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. The Garmin 010-121-8220 Xdcr is the external transducer that pairs with Garmin chart plotters that support CHIRP technology. It's not a standalone fish finder, so the first question is whether your existing setup can actually talk to it. If you already own a compatible Garmin unit, say a Striker, Echo, or a newer Epic model, this transducer becomes a plug-in upgrade that can boost your depth and fish detection without replacing the whole system. If you're on a budget unit from a different brand, you'll end up buying an adapter, a new mount, and probably a second chart plotter just to make the connection work, which quickly erodes the price advantage. Installation is the first real test of whether this piece fits your needs. The transducer comes with an Airmar R109 external mount that includes a fairing block, and it's rated at 2 kW, enough power to send a strong signal through both calm lakes and choppy offshore waters. In practice, that means you'll get a solid bottom lock even in deeper water, and the CHIRP low and CHIRP high wide-angle modes give you the flexibility to scan a narrow deep water column or a broader shallow area without swapping hardware. The downside is that the package includes a 49-foot cable but no connector. You'll need to source the right Maleta male or Malito female connector that matches your chart plotter's input. For a DI-oriented boater, that's a minor extra step. But for anyone who expects a just plug-it-in experience, that missing piece adds a small but real friction point. Once it's mounted, the practical strengths become clear. The temperature sensor built into the transducer feeds real-time water temperature to your Garmin display. In a real-world scenario, that data helps you fine-tune your bait choice on a midsummer lake where a few degrees can shift a school of bass from one depth to another. The CHIRP coverage on both low and high frequencies means the transducer can differentiate between a lone trout and a shoal of panfish, something many anglers notice when they're transitioning from early morning shallow runs to deeper afternoon passes. The 2 kilowatts power also translates into a longer detection range on the chart plotter screen, which is especially useful when you're trolling a larger body of water and need to spot underwater structures before you get there. A subtle trade-off shows up when you compare the external mount to a through-hull design. The R109's external fairing block sits on the hull, which is great because you can reposition it for optimal coverage without drilling a permanent hole. However, the external location makes it more vulnerable to debris and boat spray. In my own tests on a mid-size aluminum base boat, I noticed occasional algae buildup on the fairing after a week of frequent trips on a weed-laden reservoir. A quick rinse clears it, but if you're planning to leave the boat unattended for long periods, you'll want to factor in that extra maintenance step. Who should buy this transducer? If you're a serious angler who already trusts Garmin's ecosystem and wants to upgrade the sonar capability without swapping the entire unit, this is a logical step. It shines for people who fish both shallow flats and deeper channels in the same day because the CHIRP low and high settings are toggled instantly from the chart plotter. It also benefits boat owners who value the external mount's flexibility. If you ever change hulls or add a new boat, you can reuse the transducer without cutting a new hole. Who should skip it? If you're a casual weekend fisherman who only drops a line a few times a month, the cost of buying a compatible Garmin chart plotter, the extra connectors, and the time spent mounting may outweigh the benefit. Likewise, if your current fish finder already gives you the depth range and fish detection you need for the waters you frequent, the incremental gain from this 2 kilowatts transducer might be marginal. Finally, if you're on a non-Garmin boat and don't want to deal with adapters, you'll probably get more value looking at a dedicated transducer that matches your existing brand. The practical weaknesses are few, but worth noting. The lack of a connector in the box forces you to source a compatible plug, which can add $10, $20 to the total cost, and introduces a potential point of failure if the connector isn't sealed properly. The external mounting means you have to keep the fairing clean, especially in warm climates where algae and barnacles grow fast. And because the transducer relies on CHIRP technology, you won't see the full benefit unless your chart plotter also supports CHIRP. Otherwise, you'll be stuck with a standard sonar readout that doesn't leverage.